Hello everyone, this is Linda Goldman back again with Module 3, and today we're going to talk about the outline for your book. So just a little recap. Last week we talked about the timetable. We reviewed what we're doing every week for the next couple of weeks till you get your book finished. We talked about Finish Agent and how to get the most from it. And we talked about your accountability buddies. Most of you have them, but please let me know how that's going. Not everyone has one. We talked about the FAME Award, which is for posting at least 3 times a week on your progress in Finish Agent, and we voted for my book title, so thank you. So by now, you should have these things more or less in place, not finished, but you should have decided on your primary goals for your book. You should have an avatar, which is your audience. You should have a working title and subtitle. You should have a rough draft of your book, of your back cover copy. And you should have posted in Finish Agent a couple of times. Some of you are fantastic at posting a lot, and some of you so I encourage you to keep doing that, because I think the feedback is really wonderful, and it helps me help you by knowing what you're doing and what you need help with, and answer your questions. So I just want to take a moment for my watermelon moment. I was writing my own back cover copy, and this brought me back to something that I call it my watermelon moment, because when I was growing up, my mother would often prepare a big dinner, and there was always one food that she forgot to bring to the table, and invariably it was the watermelon. And after the end of the meal, she'd say, "Oh my goodness, I forgot the watermelon." So when I was doing my own back cover copy, I suddenly realized that there was no headline. I hadn't put that in for you, and I kind of slapped my head and said, oh my goodness, I forgot to tell you about a headline on your back cover copy. Now, the reason I forgot is that I often look at a lot of books just to see what's going on with different books and to try to get the best practices from all of them. And the majority of them, or many of them, actually don't have a headline, which I think is a mistake, because if you pick up a newspaper online, or if you still have a print copy, the headline is what sells you on the story. You wouldn't just start reading the main, the first sentence of the story without a headline. So it's pretty important to have a headline. And even though not all book covers have them, I think you should have one, and I will have one on mine. So you can look at my back cover as an example, and make sure you have a back cover copy. I did add that to the template, which is in the Wellness Inc. Course section, so you can see it there, and make sure that you upload the later one if you go back in there. So for today, we're going to talk about a simple structure for outlining your book, and my book outline in Finish Agent, which is now there under my name, Linda's Book. So you can check the latest back cover copy I have, and you can also click the attachment and open it and download my outline if you're interested, just to see how I did it. And then we're going to talk about tips to organize Finish Agent better. So let's start with a simple template to organize, outline, and structure your book. Now, if you remember from the boot camp, we talked about the long-suffering writer, the person with writer's block. And I talked about how this should not really be your problem if you have a blueprint, or you have some kind of framework or a roadmap for your book. And so I talked about the only 2 reasons writers get writer's block. Now, I'm not talking about fiction. In fiction, people have to invent characters and stories, and they might very well get writer's block. But if you're writing a nonfiction book, you shouldn't have writer's block if these 2 conditions are in place. The only reason you would not know what to do is you don't know your content well enough, and I'm sure that that's not the case for anybody here. You have more than enough content, probably enough to fill more than one book, or you don't have a structure, and that's what we're going to take care of today. But before we get into that, I want to remind you of something kind of important. which is the transformation. So we're talking about transforming your reader from somebody who has a pain or a problem or wants to be better in some way, happier, freer, more energetic, or whatever it is. They want some kind of transformation from where they are to where they want to be. And so you must always be thinking of where will your readers end up? What journey are you taking them on? What path or what bridge are you taking them on? And remember that not very many people kind of slap their forehead, as I did with forgetting the headline of a book, and kind of slap their forehead and say, oh no, I forgot to balance my hormones, or oh no, I forgot to clean my liver today. Your readers are not really thinking that. They're thinking, I don't have energy, I don't feel well, I have a pain, something's bothering me, I feel sick, my digestion is troubling me. Those are the things they're thinking of. So you have to think in the words that they're thinking of and how they perceive their problem. They don't know that the lack of balanced hormones is causing their problem, or that they may have leaky gut syndrome. That may be completely foreign to them. So what I'm saying is, don't fall in love with the science. I know that you are, because you're healers and the science is what is enabling you to heal people. But your readers are not in love with the science. They're in love with their solution, their problem, and how you're going to help them. So always remember what you're really selling, the ultimate benefit. So Michelin doesn't sell tires, it sells safety. You know, not many people go out to buy tires because they love tires. They buy tires because they want a safe ride in their car. Beer companies are selling fun and parties, not necessarily just the beer. People don't buy a lawnmower just because they want a nice, you know, they buy a lawnmower because they want a nice lawn, not because they want to have a lawnmower. So don't sell the tool, sell the end result. And interestingly, even Nike doesn't say it's selling running shoes. When I Googled Nike to see what they said about themselves, they say that they are a company that provides inspiration and innovation for every athlete in the world. So they're not, you know, they're not selling you jogging pants and running shoes. They're selling you inspiration and innovation. And that's what you should be thinking of as well. So let's talk about the promise and benefits. So what promise and benefits are you providing to your reader? I always bring up this one, gut bliss, because, you know, belly bloat or digestive problems, they're pretty clear. You know, if you have that, then you know what you're dealing with. As far as reversing inflammatory symptoms, well, some people may know they have that, and some people may have no clue they have inflammation. So that may or may not be the best kind of subtitle for all of your readers. The allergy solution, people may not know they have an allergy. They would have to at least be aware enough that they might have an allergy in order to buy that. So that may or may not be the best title, but if people know they have an allergy, they might be looking for a title on how to get rid of it. How to lose weight, lose your wrinkles. I mean, those are pretty basic things that everybody is looking for in books. So those are pretty sure bets, except there's a lot of competition. So you need to make it unique, but certainly those are the benefits. Now, a question that many people will be asking is, will this work for me? So you may have a solution for autoimmune disease or hormones or whatever, but people still say, well, you know, I have a different problem. Maybe that's not my problem. So you have to make sure that you address that problem of that question and make sure that people know if it's for them. So in the Finish Agent forum, I uploaded, under Linda's book, I uploaded a template of my book structure. Sorry, this is the template that's in the Wellness Inc. section. So you can look at it, and this will guide you through everything we're talking about today. My own book outline comes in a minute. So just to go over the basic structure of a book. Every book has the same main structure. It has a table of contents. Usually it has an introduction. It could actually be a preface. It has certain parts or sections, and it has chapters in each section. Books also have front matter, which is whatever's at the front of the book before the table of contents, and that's optional but valuable, such as a foreword by somebody influential. Now, you don't have to start doing anything about this now, just maybe think about it, who you might be able to contact. You often have testimonials, a dedication. Again, these are optional items. And at the back, you have an afterword, which is again optional, acknowledgments about the author, and a contact page, which is super important. It's your key to getting clients. So let's look at the parts of the book. Now, the introduction, I've divided this into 3 equal parts, or 3 parts, not necessarily equal, but you don't need all of these, and you can collapse them or make them as short as you want, or use them in the way that suits your book. The first part I talk about is what's in it for me, and that's everyone is tuned to the radio station, WIIFM, what's in it for me, because we're all people that are looking out for ourselves. That's human nature. And so you have to tell people what's in it for them if they read this book. And if you can't get that across to them, they're not likely to continue reading. So it's really important to do that. And here's some ways you can. Now, I suggest this is a very brief overview, not to go into details here. You're going to go into it later. But telling them what's in the book, this is just an overview of why is this condition a problem, whatever condition, maybe unbalanced hormones or leaky gut syndrome. How prevalent is the problem? What impact does this problem have on the reader or other people, maybe in their family? How serious is the problem if it's not treated? Who is likely to be suffering from it? What is the current approach and why is it not working? Because if it is working, obviously they wouldn't need your book. So when you plug in your subject, and you can always go to the WH questions, which is who, why, how, what, where. So, you know, for back pain, who gets back pain? How do people get back pain? What do they feel when they get back pain? When do people get back pain? Where does it hurt? Why do people get back pain? Just plug in those questions, ask yourself, and you'll get a lot of ideas on what to be writing about. The next part is your hero story, or your story, why you wrote this book. Again, this can be pretty short, or it could be a little bit longer if you have a good story to tell. It's your personal transformation, or it could be a family member. Maybe that's why you became a healer, because you had some personal health issue, and were looking for a way to get better, and you found it. Or could be those of your patients if it wasn't particularly you. But a story is good to give your why of why you wrote this book. And then how to get the most from this book. Again, this is optional. Some books may be fine to skip to different sections. If you have 30 days to something, people might like to skip around. Other books, you may suggest that they need to read the educational content first to understand why, why they would want to read this, and why this is the best method to do it. So now we're going to divide the main parts of the book. So we have the introduction, and I suggest 2 parts. The first part is the education part, where you're giving the background of their problem or condition, explaining what it is, why they have it, etc. And this could be 1 to 3 chapters. It could be more. It really depends on your book and what you want to get across. And so how you do it is you list the main topics related to your problem, and each one will be a separate chapter. And you can have as many chapters as make sense. Then you take each topic separately, and you write as many questions or points as you can think of that relate to that topic. Now, here's some amazing tools for you. This is a question tool called Answer the Public. And when you go in there and you type in any subject, so I did this for plant-based eating, and you'll see that it does all kinds of different formats to show you. It could be a wheel, so sort of what are plant-based diets, why should people eat a plant-based diet. I did this one for hormones, and this is another one where you just get hundreds of, many questions. Do hormones affect vision? Are hormones, where are they produced? I mean, there's just so many questions about hormones that I'm sure that you could find some really good inspiration for what you want to talk about in the section, the educational section. You also, they give you lists beginning with every letter of the alphabet. So for autoimmune disease, I mean, different subjects that people bring up for weight loss, for lupus, for symptoms, for treatment, a plant-based diet benefits, eating out, eating a mainly plant-based diet. So there's so many different things you can get here. I think this will be great inspiration if you're not sure what to write. Now, Quora is another place where you can register yourself as an expert, or you can kind of lurk there and see what other people are writing. But as an expert, you can draw people to your website. So this is a great thing. You are the expert on your topic. And when you plug a question in, you'll see that on the right side, there's related questions. So for eating a plant-based diet, what is the plant-based diet and the best way to start? What would happen if everyone in the world went on a plant-based diet? Some really wonderful questions that might provoke some creative thinking on your part. So now we've come to part 2, and this is the fix or the solution. And again, you have as many chapters as you need. It could be one, you know, well, not one, it could be 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, whatever makes sense to you. So step 1, you decide on your steps, your method, or your format. And I talked about this, you know, 7 steps to 30 days to 8 weeks to, and it makes sense to have this in your mind. Whether you use this in your title or not is up to you. But, you know, nobody goes from point A to point B really in one step. It's unlikely. There's a few steps to go from, you know, being unhealthy to being healthy or having a change in your life. So think about what makes sense. It could be only 3 steps. It could be 10 steps or whatever. It could be daily or weekly or even monthly. I mean, if I had, you know, a serious health issue and I knew that in 3 months it would be a lot better, I mean, I'd be quite happy even if it's 3 months or 90 days to something. Or it could be 90 days to write your book because it's a little more complex. You can't do it in 1 day or 1 week, but you could do it in 60 days or 90 days. So once you decide on your steps, the next thing is to explain the steps. So under each step, so step 1 is to explain what is autoimmune disease, and then you're going to list everything that your reader needs to know about each step. Just a note form. This is for yourself. Nobody will see this but you. But you just want to make notes for yourself so you won't forget anything important when you're writing or reading, or start writing or recording. And the next thing is just to take your notes, your outline, and start writing or recording each chapter. Now, one thing that's important to think of along the way is sprinkling in stories, anecdotes, case studies, etc., because these bring your story, your book to life. People remember the stories, and also people don't always understand the science. So if you have a story about a client that had this problem, or you yourself, or something else, it's much more memorable, and it just helps people understand what you're trying to get across. Something about painting a picture is very, very valuable, and I gave this example. So let's say you wanted to talk about a large number of people, thousands of people maybe, that have a certain condition or a certain problem. And if you just say, well, thousands of people have this problem, it's kind of like, well, what does that mean? A lot of people, it doesn't really have an impact. But if you say, you take a real example and you say, you know, picture Shea Stadium and how many people could fit into it, and imagine if every single one of them had autoimmune disease. Well, that's the number of people with autoimmune disease in our society today, or maybe in your town or your neighborhood or whatever it is that you want to talk about. So try to paint a picture as much as you can to bring your stories to life. Now, where do you get your best ideas for stories? I always get them when I'm in the shower, when I'm taking a walk, when I'm reading a book or a magazine, when I'm doing something else. Because if you focus too hard, the stories seem to be elusive. But as soon as you turn your mind to something else, maybe you're cleaning the house or washing dishes or whatever, exercising, all of a sudden stories start flooding in. So I suggest keeping a notebook or keeping your iPhone ready, or whatever way you find it easiest to record or take notes so that you don't lose those stories, because sometimes they pop into your head and then they're gone if you don't record them. So really, once you've done that, once you've written the topics for the sections of your book, so you have the education topic and the solution, and then you've written the points and written each chapter, I mean, your first draft is done. And that's, I mean, a huge high five, because getting to that first draft is probably the hardest thing. I mean, yes, there is editing and finishing the book, but you can get more help with that. But the first draft is really the biggest hurdle. And if you get there and you get that first draft done, then that's amazing. And you should be really, really proud of yourself and celebrate. So if you want an example of my book outline in the Finish Agent Forum, it's there. I didn't put the whole thing here. I just screen captured a little bit of it, but you'll see the title, the table of contents, the introduction, and what I'm just notes to myself on what I'm going to write about, the education, and some notes to help me remember when I get to that point. And then I continued. You'll see the rest of it if you download it. So amazingly enough, I went to look on Amazon just to see, you know, some other formats. And believe me, this was my idea before I found this, but here it is, the exact formula that I had put together before I found this. So here you have forward, acknowledgements, and the introduction. Then you have part 1, the problem, and part 2, the solution or the fix. And Tom O'Brien, well, he's no slouch. You probably know him very well. He's a well-known author and health practitioner. And he has a foreword by Dr. Mark Hyman, so that's pretty prestigious. And so look how simple his book is. I mean, after the introduction, he has part 1, the problem, and he divided it up into 5 chapters. And he has part 2, the solution, and that's again 5 chapters. And that's all you need to format your book, to outline your book. You don't need more than that. Now, if you want to divide the problem into 2 parts, no problem, that's fine. If you want to divide the fix into 2 or 3 parts, you can do that. But just keep in mind, problem, solution. That's probably the simplest way to do it. So here's another book. Now, this is pretty similar. She has the foreword, the introduction. Again, Mark Hyman must be a busy man. writing for introductions to lots of people's books. If you can snag him, that would be good for you. And so you have part 1, and part 2 are actually education. Part 1 is using food as medicine, understanding the stress connection. So those are the educational portion. And then part 3 is healing your gut. So that's the solution. So again, you might have more at the beginning and less at the end, or you might have more at the end and less at the beginning in the education portion. That really depends on your book. But you can see, again, it's really the same format. Here's another one where she divides it up, the autoimmune solution. So the first 2 sections are really the education part, or the problem. You're educating your readers about the problem. So the first one is the epidemic, getting to the root of the problem. And then the solution or the fix is learning the tools and living the solution. So again, really, I mean, she has 4 parts, but it's really 2 main sections, education and problem and solution. So that's pretty simple, and I hope you realize how powerful it is when it doesn't have to be any more complicated than that. So let's talk about the purpose of your book now. And we talked about it starting a conversation about your topic with the people who matters, which are your readers and anybody you want to engage you for speaking or for, you know, being on the media. You want to start a conversation. And I'm always learning and getting new ideas. This is my passion as well. And I got some ninja tricks this week on a webinar by somebody who's doing some really neat things with her book. So she makes every chapter interactive. So each chapter has a link to something on her website. It could be a video where she talks briefly about that chapter or gives a further explanation. or just introduces the chapter. It could be an interview with somebody that's an expert related to what she's talking about. It could be a cheat sheet on how to do something, a resource list. It could be some bonus recipes, or recipes if you don't have any in the book. Could be a buying guide if it's talking about certain foods or supplements. It could be a tip sheet on how to do something better or faster or easier. It could be a free meditation. It really could be anything, and it could be a variety of these things. So, you know, for every chapter, just think ahead of what you could put in to bring people to your website. So now this all comes down to your website, and they all lead to your website in exchange for their email address, of course. You want to draw people to your website to sign up. And why is that? Because as we talked about, your book is going to sell for maybe $10 or $20, so you may make a few dollars per book. But your real reason for writing the book is to have more clients or patients, if that's what you want, or to get speaking engagements, to have coaching clients or training, put together a course, and that's where you can make money and build your business. So without their email address, you'll never know who read your book, and just having all these different elements is just like a brilliant way to bring people into your website. So if you've looked at my website, or if you've been there, it's a lead generation website. And that means I'm always trying to capture leads so that, yes, I can sell these courses, and I can sell my copywriting services, and I can sell my book writing services and everything else. So it's really important to have opt-ins, several of them. One of them is at the very top, the free roadmap to your book, Send It Now. That's at the very, very top of my website. And then I have a bit of content, and then I have this bigger opt-in section, Get My Free Roadmap to Your Book, where people put in their name and email address and get that free report that I put together. And you do need some kind of gift or something, a freebie, a free report, but it doesn't have to be difficult. It could be my 3 favorite recipes for balancing your hormones, or a cheat sheet for buying the best supplements, or whatever it is, a tip sheet, 5 tips to do whatever it is, you know, anything that makes sense, an extra bonus meditation, whatever makes sense to your book and to your audience, whatever they will be interested in. So you do need to have a website that's set up this way, and it should be some kind of opt-in above the fold. So if you need help with your website, some of you have very good new websites, or fairly new websites. Some of you really need a bit of an overhaul if your website is a bit older. And I'm happy to talk to you about that and see how I can steer you in the right direction and help you if you need that help. But at very minimum, try to get in some kind of opt-in above the fold by the end of this month, if you have a web person that can do that for you, because I want to be sending you some good traffic at the end of this month for anyone who has been posting in Finish Agent, and I don't want you to miss that opportunity with not having an opt-in, a way for people to opt in and an email capture system. So I think that that's it for now. I just want to finish with the fact that we're going to be talking about Finish Agent, and it's getting a little hairy in there. There's a lot of stuff going on, and this is where I remembered that I did not record the video and started recording right afterwards. So I'm going to end this video here, and please pick up the second part of the Module 3 video just to finish off and what we talked about, Finish Agent and anything else. So I'm signing off now, but there is a second part to this, and see you on Finish Agent with any questions, thoughts, or anything else I can help you with. Take care. Bye-bye.